Michael believes that he has a compelling argument for his religion. And let's see if he does.
Every religion believes that they are right. And so in virtue of that,
Not
I
necessarily.
I tend to think that how do you know which one is the correct one if there are so many out there?
Well, there are a lot of different theories of physics, right? And they contradict one another. So how do you know which one is right? There are a lot of different theories of evolution. And if you're inclined to, be really gung-ho about evolution, well, which one do you think is right? Is it Darwin? Is it Lamarck? Is it some newer strand of either of those? You use your reason, and you separate fact from fiction, and you believe the more persuasive arguments, and you throw out the less persuasive arguments. And that's what you do with religion when it comes to theology. Theology is faith-seeking understanding. So it's applying logic and the rigors of reason to religious claims. And religion is just simply a habit of virtue that inclines the will to give to God what he deserves. So we talk about multiple religions, but there's really only one religion. And we're all just trying to figure out what it is. I'm Catholic.
Yeah.
I think that's true. I think that's the true faith.
So you say you separate fact from fiction. Well, as someone who grew up in a Catholic household, I'll tell you firsthand that going to church and eating a piece of bread and drinking wine just because you believe that, when you do, that becomes the body of Christ that has zero logic and it has no science that can back up those claims. So if you want to speak about logic, obviously you can't speak about being a Catholic as something that is logic. The only thing that science has been able to back up about anything that Christians have claimed to be true is pretty much prayer, because it reduces the activity in the parietal lobe, which is the seat of your identity, meaning that it reduces your ego. But it works the same way if you pray for Allah or Krishna or Muhammad or Buddha. So it's not just about praying to Jesus, just praying in general, because it creates a sense of surrender. Once you surrender, then your identity diminishes. But if you truly want to speak about science, we could just look at Eastern traditions like Buddhism. Now, in Buddhism, we have the three Dharma seals, which is impermanence, non-self, and nirvana. Science in particular has targeted the idea that there is no self, which is one of the Buddhist doctrines, non-self. And this is what science has to say. Studies on the brain suggest that our sense of identity or ego is constructed and maintained by a series of memories and sensory experiences that create a coherent narrative. This narrative, however, is constantly changing as new information comes in. This aligns with the Buddhist understanding that the self is an illusion, and what we perceive as a stable identity is actually a constantly changing set of experiences. So obviously there is no true self because you're always changing. You're not the same person that you were probably 10 years ago. Your ideas change, your likes and dislikes, your mood changes, and your perception of reality changes. There is no persistent self.
I think even the most atheistic person would say that certain religions seem more plausible than other religions. What would be a good example of this without offending a wide swath of the audience? Most people out there would say that Christianity is more plausible than Scientology, right? Why? Well, because Scientology makes all these crazy claims about machines and technology. Okay. Like space aliens. Right? Okay. Well, kind of actually the claims are you guys Scientologists?
Mm-hmm.
You are. I had a feeling. Okay. A bad example then. So we would say that, okay, well, if Christianity is more persuasive than Scientology, then, okay, you've just dismissed one of the religions. Well, how about the other ones? Do you think it's more persuasive than Islam? I do. I think that the historical claims of and the theological claims of Christianity are more persuasive than Islam. Okay, we got rid of that one. How about Judaism? I, have great respect for my Jewish friends and my Muslim friends and even Scientologists, some of them. But Judaism says Jesus is not who he says he is. Christianity says Jesus is who he says he is. Well, I don't know. What is it? And then one investigates this question, and I've arrived at the conclusion that he is who he says he is. Okay, so there goes that religion. How about Buddhism? Well, all the Buddhists I know are just like liberal women in northern Westchester who wear tight pants and, meditate during this. So they're not right about anything. I can easily dismiss that religion.
Just a fair warning before I continue with this video, because this video is not for people who believe that meditation invokes demons or that mindfulness opens the door for demons to take over. This is for logical thinkers and people who want to evolve, basically. This is not for people like Michael knows nothing. So a liberal woman from Northern Westchester who don't know anything. And this would make sense to come out of Michael Noll's mouth because that's just who he is. He's not much of a critical thinker. But I'm going to put some scientific facts here on the screen for you guys to see the value that meditation can actually bring into your life. Regular meditation has been shown to increase gray matter in the brain, particularly in regions associated with memory, emotional regulation, and self-awareness, such as the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex. It enhances attention and focus. It reduces stress and anxiety. It lowers cortisol levels and regulation of the amygdala. Was the amygdala, a brain region involved in processing emotion, especially fear, becomes less reactive in regular meditators. This could lead to reduced anxiety and better emotional control. Your idea that your religion is true comes from faith, and you're going to need more than faith to try to prove to logical thinkers unlike yourself that your religion is true.